Hello, hello, hello. Let's turn this down. Let's turn this down. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and instances in pop culture to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Y'all see it? Child, we are going over celebrity legal issues, celebrity legal news, whether they're suing or they're being sued, child. We are going to go over that information. But a little housekeeping, please hit that like button. And if you like what you see, subscribe. And once you subscribe, you've opened to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed, plus my pop culture chats and my celebrity legal news. So let's get into this. Now, y'all remember I was away because I was not feeling well, and this popped off around that time. So I didn't do an initial video about it because again it popped off way before I did. But I just heard it seen in the last couple of days that there has been an amendment to the complaint. So what I want to do is kind of go over really quickly the amendment to the complaint. I am talking about Meg the Stallion versus Milagro, the blogger. That is such a pretty name, Milagro. So we're going to be discussing that today. We're going to discuss just the older news that you all probably known, and we're also going to go over what the amendment is because we're going to read that. We're not going to read all of it because as I see it is 40 pages, and we are not going to get into 40 pages of reading, but we're going to get into some background information and then we're going to go from there. Again, please hit that like button. Please share this video if you care. And we are getting ready to get into this. Now, let me share my screen. All right. So this was reported by TMZ back on the 30th of October. It says here that Megan Thee Stallion sues blogger for deep fake porn, claims she's posting Tory Lanez's misinformation. There are several other articles that go on with this. We have this article written in USA Today by Tiahuan Mormon. Meg the Stallion sues blogger for harassment promoting deepfake pornography. So this has been just a prevalent issue going on with this particular lawsuit. Here he is, Sports Kita, Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer obtained. This is new. Excuse me. Megan Thee Stallion lawyers obtained Tory Lanez's phone calls from prison, reportedly proving he paid YouTuber Milagro Cooper to harass rapper. Now, I want to go back to the TMZ article real quick. Just go back through that article and read that, and then we're going to get into the new information and the new news about what's going on. So it says here, Megan Thee Stallion sues the blogger for deep fake porn. She claims she's posting Tory Lanez misinformation, and it says here she's suing the content creator for allegedly promoting falsehoods about her, claiming that she, who is Milagro, is posting lies about the Tory Lanez case and spreading deep fake porn. The rapper filed the lawsuit against Milagro Elizabeth Cooper, an ex-user with nearly 30,000 followers, alleging she routinely posted lies about Meg Thee Stallion while working as a mouthpiece for Lanez to promote false narratives. So they have copies of her tweets. We won't read them, but I'll let them sit here for a little while just so that you all can absorb them. And we keep going. Among the untrue content Milagro has posted, according to Meg, is a total artificial video that the Stallion's lawyers claim shows the star engaged in sexual acts. Now that's low. They say the video has caused Megan several severe emotional distress and reputational harm. Now, let me be very clear about a couple of things. if we go back, particularly going back to when all of this started, when Meg the Stallion was, when we saw the TMZ video of Meg the Stallion coming out of the car with her hands up, uh, blood coming off her foot, and all of them being arrested and Meg taken to the hospital. This is stemming from that incident. Now, Tory Lanez was convicted last year of was it last year or the year before last? Was it the 22nd? I think it was 2022. He was convicted in 2022 of shooting Meg the Stallion, that whole incident of that incident. And he received 10 years in California State Prison for that incident. So what she is claiming, Meg, is that since then Milagro has been disseminating false information. Now, I will tell y'all just like this. This is one of those things. If any content creator hasn't learned from Cardi B suing and winning against Tasha K, y'all have lost y'all's mind. Y'all have lost y'all's minds. You all have to be we have to be very careful when we're reporting the information and not report things that we don't know to be facts. Just say it's alleged. If you've heard something on the thing, say, I've seen this on the internet, I've seen this on this, I've heard about this. If you can find it, if not, just say, I saw something. I can't tell you if it's true or not, but this is what I saw. You have to use that kind of terminology before you start doing stuff. But also, if you're trying to be a mouthpiece for someone who has been convicted of a crime, and now you're being accused of spreading false information, and not only false information, character defamation information. If this is true, if this is proven to be true, for you to be posting some kind of deep fake porn situation, that's all around crazy. That's all around crazy. And if you're doing it on behalf of someone who has been convicted of harming that particular person, it's that seems like harassment. But my lawyer people that follow me, y'all let me know, because that seems like a little bit of harassment if you ask me. But let's continue with this. Among the untrue content Milagro has posted, according to Meg, is a totally artificial video that the Stallion lawyers claim show the star engaged in sexual acts. They say the video has caused her severe and emotional distress. And I imagine it would, because even those types of video, even if you contributed to that video, can cause people a lot of stress, because 9 times out of 10, you don't want those types of things going into the public. Personal thing, I wouldn't be engaged in situations where I knowingly would allow somebody to record me in such an intimate moment, because you savor the moment at that time. If you feel like you got to do something else, that's your business. It says Megan's team says Milagro has claimed that Megan Thee Stallion has a severe drinking problem, has questioned her mental competency, and called her an angry Black woman. As it relates to Tory, Megan's lawyers claim Cooper has promoted false claims about the evidence in the case, including saying the firearm which Tory shot Megan had gone missing. Megan's team says it's still in the custody of the LAPD. I do want to kind of go over that a little bit. And this is what I wanted to go over, because when this whole situation happened, when all of this stuff happened, and because initially Meg didn't come out and say that Tory shot her. It was she told the cops that she had got hit, she stepped on glass, but they quickly debunked that because of the fact that they pulled those bullet fragments out of her foot, and she then had to explain what happened. She had to tell the truth. She had to explain. And I think from there, a lot of people ran with that. Oh, well, she stepped on some glass. And, oh, she did this. If she did this, she's lying. She's doing this back and forth. She's doing this back and forth. Well, that was behind the scenes. She said that she initially stepped on glass, and then we saw Tori get online. And as I recall, he started going with that story, going with that narrative, and he started promoting music and all kinds of different things. And it almost seemed like, if you watched it, he was insinuating stuff, or he was trying to do something subliminally, but overtly subliminally. And I have a video to kind of to pull this out. And I think that this came from Meg the Stallion's. I think this came from Meg the Stallion's documentary. I don't know if there's any sound, but we won't put any sound. But y'all just watch this for a minute. So this is an excerpt from her video, and she's talking about all the things that she would see online from him. And she had to block her phone. She got a new phone, she was saying. But also, he was doing videos and things like that. Y'all remember when she did Rolling Loud? As soon as she got off the stage, he showed up on stage, and they're showing this. He wasn't even a scheduled artist at this time. Uh, uh, the other guy, the baby, brought him on, and then he did videos like this, like, you see a horse's foot, leg, and stuff like that. It was like a Berkeley similar. What was he saying? He was going to chop her legs up, hot girl special, HDS special. It was a lot of little different things that he was doing, and particularly in these videos, that to me was a little disturbing, and they were a little overtly. And then you had the fans chiming in on this, all these little different people. You even had celebrities chiming in on this type of behavior, thinking that it was funny, and it really wasn't funny. But that is some of the things that she had to deal with, and so if you see that in the scope, I imagine the stuff that she's alleging that this particular blogger was putting out is going to be interesting. Let's get back. Are we sharing this screen? We're going to get back to the TMZ article. The lawsuit also includes posts to X that Milagro allegedly live tweeted from Lanez's trial, falsely claiming Meg's friend Kelsey Harris admitted she lied to prosecutors when she told them that she saw Lanez pull a gun on Meg. And they do have a copy of the screenshot of the tweet. It looks like some legal paper, legal work right here, down here. And I guess this is coming from this, and it's a verified Twitter account. Lanez was ultimately convicted of negligent discharge of a firearm, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and carrying a loaded and unregistered firearm for the shooting. He's serving a 10-year sentence, as I've said. She's suing her. Meg is suing for the promotion of an altered sexual depiction, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and invasion of privacy. Okay, so let's get to. Hold on, y'all. Let me get to it. Here we go. So now let's get to the article and the information. So that was pretty much the background information. Let's get into the information that we have right now, and then get into the lawsuit. Hey, Blue. How you do? Let's get into what's going on now. Says here in this article, this is by Sportskeeda. Never heard of this thing, but this is where it's coming from. It was written by Juhi Marzia. Meg the Stallion. Lawyers obtained Tory Lanez's phone calls from prison, reportedly proving he paid YouTuber Milagro Cooper to harass the rapper. And I'm trying to figure out, did he pay her to harass this girl while he's in jail and she's outside? Let's read on. On December 10th, Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers filed an amended complaint accusing her shooter, Tory Lanez, of running a harassment campaign against the rapper using the YouTube podcaster and ex-user. I'm saying ex-user because this is saying YouTube podcaster. And the other, and TMZ says she was on X. I don't know if she's on YouTube or not, and I'm not going to look her up. I'm just going to read what they say. YouTube podcaster Milagro Cooper as his mouthpiece. This is the latest update in the Megan's cyber stalking and defamation lawsuit against Cooper filed on October 30th. According to the recent filing, Megan's attorneys claim they obtained prison phone calls regarding between Tory Lanez, his father, Sunstar Peterson, because Tory Lanez's real name is Daystar Peterson, discussing Cooper. The filing added that Megan Thee Stallion's lawyer obtained the recording by subpoenaing the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. It says here on one phone call, the Petersons confidently asserted that Miss Pete, Meg Thee Stallion, would be unable to prove that Mr. Peterson paid defendant Cooper for attacking Miss Pete. The complaint states. Hold on, y'all. I just have to do this because Daystar and Sunstar Peterson. Y'all realize that those calls are recorded. There is no privacy when y'all talk on them phones for prisoners in the correction system. All those calls are recorded. You realize that, don't you? Now, I don't know how California is set up as far as what their penal system is, but some penal systems where you could be face to face and talk, I don't think those are recorded. But if you get on those little phones, even if you go to the prison and you get on the little phone and he's on his little phone, those things are recorded. A mess. Let's continue, y'all. These people are doing way too much for the gram. They do it way too much. The complaint further alleged that Tory Lanez is still orchestrating his harassment campaign against Megan Thee Stallion by paying Cooper to spread misinformation about the rapper and the shooting case online. It is also claimed that Cooper's extreme and outrageous conduct was causing Megan severe emotional distress. By consciously, and this is quoted, by consciously coordinating with Miss Pete, convicted assaulter, to amplify Mr. Peterson's disproven and baseless theories to help him seek retribution against Miss Pete, defendant engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct that has caused and continued to cause Miss Pete severe emotional distress. So, let's go ahead here because we're going to get to what we're going to do right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Y'all, this is some foolishness. This is foolishness, absolute foolishness. And if these reports are proven, that's some real foolishness for Sunstar and Daystar Peterson to be out here doing stuff like that, or talking about stuff like that, or even contributing monetarily or not contributing to this type of stuff. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. And also what makes no sense is for you to, because you're outside the jail. They're not suing I don't, as we're going to go look over the thing, but I don't think they're suing Sunstar Peterson. They're not suing Daystar Peterson. They're suing you, Miss Milagro. All the things that you have, your assets, your stuff, over some man who's been convicted. Let him fight his own battles. He has his father assisting him. Besides the alleged monetary gain, I don't know if this would be worth it. So let's do this. Let's go and look at Let's look at this lawsuit and we will read some of this to go on. What are y'all thinking? And make sure y'all hit the like button. I really appreciate it. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let me go ahead and share the screen. We're going to. Where'd it go? Here we go. So, y'all, this is the amended complaint filed by Meg the Stallion's lawyers. You see up here in the light, in the blue, that this was filed on December 10th, which was a couple of days ago. So let's go over this again. This is 40 pages. We're not going to read. I read most of it. We're not going to go over 40 pages of a lawsuit, but we are definitely going to read through most of it and see what's going on. So you see here, Megan Pete, who's AKA Meg the Stallion, is the plaintiff, and Milagro Elizabeth Cooper is the defendant. And it says here, pursuant to the federal rule of civil procedure, plaintiff Megan Pete hereby files the first amended complaint as a matter of course against Milagro Elizabeth Cooper. Ms. Pete alleges the following facts upon her knowledge and upon the information and belief. Nature of action. It says defendant is a long time mouthpiece. A longtime mouthpiece of Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez, a convicted felon who shot Miss Pete in 2020 and has been working with him ever since to falsely brand Miss Pete an incompetent liar and alcoholic. As part of their vendetta, defendant spreads vicious and hateful rumors about Miss Pete to defendant over 100,000 social media followers, causing Miss Pete extreme emotional distress. Defendant malicious intent is clear. Discredit and shame Miss Pete because of her testimony at Mr. Peterson's trial, which ultimately landed him in prison, where he is currently serving a 10-year sentence for shooting Miss Pete. Excuse me. Even from behind bars. Now this is sad to me. Even from behind bars, prison calls show Mr. Peterson is still orchestrating this campaign with defendant as his mouthpiece. Since Mr. Peterson's 2020 indictment for felony assault with a firearm after shooting Miss Pete to his later conviction in December 2022 on the trial up through today, defendant has performed Mr. Peterson's bidding by spreading malicious falsehoods and about Miss Pete. Defendant does so by engaging in disgusting acts of harassment directed at Miss Pete on defendant's online social media platform. The only purpose of her statements are to bully, harass, and punish Miss Pete for Mr. Peterson's conviction, to tarnish her reputation, and to cause her severe emotional distress. The lengths to which the defendant has gone to harass and maliciously injure Miss Pete knows no bounds. For example, she has promoted a deep fake pornographic video artificially depicting Miss Pete purportedly engaging in sexual acts without her knowledge or consent. After defendant's promotion of this video led to a firestorm of negative reactions from others, defendant doubled down on a YouTube video on June 9th, 2024. That was this year. Claiming Miss Pete was a, quote, professional victim, end quote, and denying any wrongdoing. But defendant is wrong. Her conduct was an unlawful promotion of an altered sexual depiction that caused and was intended to cause Miss Pete's severe emotional distress and reputational harm. Defendant has also defamed Miss Pete and sought to destroy her reputation by spreading falsehoods repeatedly, asserting that Miss Pete is a liar who perjured herself. in the trial falsely accused Mr. Peterson of a felony and is continuing to lie to the courts. Incredibly, defendant has continued to spread such defamatory falsehoods even after Mr. Peterson was found unanimously guilty by a jury beyond a reasonable doubt for the exact crimes Ms. Pete testified that he committed. Defendant attended the trial and is well aware of Mr. Peterson's guilty verdict, which is nearly 2 years old, but continues to spread a false narrative without any factual basis that Ms. Pete lied. Now, here's something that I highlighted that I talked about earlier from the TMZ video that I wanted to kind of go over here. The defendant has even, this is Milagro Cooper now, has even publicly admitted to spreading misinformation about the trial. She first promoted the frivolous conspiracy theory that Miss Pete was never injured by a gunshot wound, but simply stepped on broken glass. She then claimed that if Miss Pete was indeed shot, it was not Mr. Peterson who shot her. Now, I highlighted that because remember, there were 4 people who were witnesses to this. You had Meg the Stallion who was there, her best friend at the time, Kelsey. You had Tory Lanez, aka Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez, and the driver. Kelsey was on stage and said that she on stage. Kelsey went on the witness stand and said she didn't shoot him. I don't think that the driver was there because they did not depose him. I mean, I know he was subpoenaed, but he didn't show up. So you had Meg the Stallion say that Tory Lanez shot her. You had Kelsey say, because I can't remember if they said Kelsey said that Tory shot her, or did they say that, or Kelsey was adamant that she didn't shoot him. I can't remember, but I know they brought in some old testimony. But anybody that remembers that, y'all let me know, remind me of how it went, because it's been a while. And later falsely claimed that Mr. Peterson is an innocent man stuck behind bars because the firearm from the shooting is missing and cannot be tested. A complete lie. After perpetuating this misinformation campaign, defendant finally, on November 19, 2024, admitted her claims were bogus. She must have did that in a YouTube thing. Does anybody remember, or anybody watch her to know when that happened? Defendant's false statements regarding the trial are part and parcel of a conspiratorial relationship with Mr. Peterson, in which defendant acts as a paid surrogate used to spread Mr. Peterson's lies about Miss Pete. Interesting. I wonder how much this has cost them. How, if this is true, how much money is worth this type of stuff? I would be interested to know how much she was getting paid to have this happen. Indeed, on October 29, 2024, defendant implied that she was still on Mr. Peterson's payroll. Further, as Mr. Peterson's prison's call logs obtained through early discovery in this case demonstrate, Mr. Peterson has repeatedly discussed defendants with his father. The two confidently asserted that Miss Pete would never be able to prove that Mr. Peterson pays or paid the defendant for attacking Miss Pete. By consciously coordinating, so if we say that this is, if we allege that this is true, the only way that you wouldn't be able to know is if you gave cash in hand and no one saw you give cash in hand. But any other way, deposits, going through a third or fourth party, and if it, going through accounts and stuff like that, I'm quite sure that they can look that up. By consciously coordinating with Miss Pete's convicted assaulter simply to amplify Mr. Peterson's disproven and baseless theories to help him seek retribution against Miss Pete, the true victim of Mr. Peterson's criminal acts, defendant engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct that has and continues to cause Miss Pete severe emotional distress. Defendant's defamatory statements are not limited to accusing her of perjury at the trial. Indeed, defendant has repeatedly attacked Miss Pete with false accusation that she is mentally retarded. Oh my gosh. Requires a guardian and suffers from alcoholism. Okay. Read that again, because I'm not giggling because I think it's fun. I'm giggling because I can't believe that I saw what I just saw. Defendant has repeatedly attacked Miss Pete with false accusations that she is mentally retarded, requires a guardian, and suffers from alcoholism. Defendant has no personal relationship with Miss Pete and no basis in fact to make such accusations. It is without question Miss Pete, a world renowned hip hop artist and Grammy winner, is not mentally retarded, does not have a guardian, and is not an alcoholic. Hold on, y'all. Let me just take one little brief pause right here. Y'all, I'm sorry. First off, what we know publicly is that Megan Pete graduated from college. She's never said or talked about any type of uh, mental restrictions that or would cause her to not be able to do all of that. We've not known that she had a guardian. We do know that pretty much her immediate family, with her being the only child, are deceased, with her mom, her dad, and her grandmother. So her immediate family is deceased. So wow. Let's continue because this is long and I don't want to hold y'all too long. Where are we? We're doing pretty good. Miss Pete has repeatedly taken to social media to address the toll that accusations of her lying about Mr. Peterson and the trial have had on her mental health and well-being. At one point during the trial, Miss Pete testified to having suicidal thoughts. In response to Miss Pete's vulnerability and pleas for peace, defendant suggested that Miss Pete should just get it over with. Just get over it or go away. Sorry, I read that wrong. Enough is enough. Miss Pete, a victim of a violent crime and champion of women's rights to her millions of fans worldwide, will no longer stand for defendant's campaign of harassment. She brings this First Amendment complaint for damages and equitable relief to end the defendant's vendetta against her. And so this just goes on the parties, letting you know who Megan Pete is. This talks about the defendant, who she is. This talks about the jurisdiction. Now, let me see where it says. The court has subject matter jurisdiction over the state law claims alleged herein under, under this right here. I'm not going to read it. Because there is a complete diversity between the parties, the amount in controversy exceeds the sum of $75,000 exclusive of interest, cost, and fees, and all the claims are so related that they form part of the case or controversy under Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Let's see. By publishing defamatory statements about Miss Pete, a Florida citizen. Oh, I don't know why I thought she lived in California, but she lives in Florida. Defendant directed her false statements regarding a Florida residence to readers worldwide, including those in Florida. So this is why this case is in Florida, because Megan is a citizen of the state of Florida. So let's get into the accusations. Okay. Whoo, y'all. I am, when you talk about being flummoxed, I think this is what categorizes as being flummoxed, because I just cannot believe Hold on, y'all. I want to change my background. Give me 1 second. I want to change my background real quick. All right. A. So this is section 4, factual allegations, subsection A. The criminal trial and conviction of Mr. Peterson. To understand the context surrounding the defendant's defamatory statement, it is imperative to understand the history of Mr. Peterson's criminal conduct against Ms. Pete, his trial, and his conviction on 3 felony charges, which resulted in Mr. Peterson's 10-year prison sentence. On July 12, 2020, the Los Angeles Police Department conducted a traffic stop on Mr. Peterson's car after it received reports of shots fired in the Hollywood area, and Mr. Peterson's car matched the suspect's description. During the traffic stop, police discovered a firearm, warm to the touch, and with its magazine fully emptied, underneath the floorboard where Mr. Peterson was seated, and arrested him on charges of carrying a concealed weapon. Goodness. On that night, Miss Pete was present in the car with Mr. Peterson and a driver, along with Kelsey Harris, Miss Pete's former best friend and assistant. Through the course of the traffic stop, it was discovered that Miss Pete had injured her foot. She was taken to a hospital for treatment. On July 15, 2020, Miss Pete announced via social media that the injuries she suffered on the night of Mr. Peterson's arrest were gunshot wounds. Later, on August 20, 2020, Miss Pete publicly identified Mr. Peterson as the person responsible for her shooting. Person shooting her. On October 8, 2020, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office charged Mr. Peterson with felony assault with a semi-automatic firearm for the injuries he caused Miss Pete on July 12, 2020. The District Attorney's Office later added charges for illegal possession of a firearm and negligent discharge of a firearm. On December 12, 2022, Mr. Peterson's trial began. The following day, Ms. Pete took the stand as a witness for the prosecution and the victim of Mr. Peterson's crime. Ms. Pete testified on the night of the shooting. She exited Mr. Peterson's car and was walking away with her back facing Mr. Peterson when Mr. Peterson pointed the gun at her and said, "Dance, bitch," quote, "dance, bitch," and fired 5 shots at her, causing gunshot wounds to her feet. She also testified to the trauma she faced since the shooting. Miss Pete stated, "Because I was shot, I have been turned into some kind of villain and he's the victim. This has messed up my whole life. This whole situation in the industry is like a big boys club. I'm telling on one of y'all's friends. Now you all are about to hate me." Ms. Pete also testified to the online backlash she received from individuals who claimed that she lied about the fact that Mr. Peterson shot her, or that she was even shot at all. Ms. Pete stated, "I can't even be happy. I can't hold conversations with people for a long time. I don't feel like I want to be on this earth. I wish he would have just shot and killed me. If I knew I would have to go through all of this torture." She also testified to suffering from suicidal thoughts since the shooting. And again, you remember earlier in this stream, I talked about the fact that there was a lot of discourse online. There was a lot of discourse online with people going back and forth. And I remember seeing some things like if the Shade Room made a post about what was going on, you saw a plethora of people in the comments saying that she was lying or anything like that. I do remember that used to be because, we were in the pandemic at that time, that there was a whole host of people going live and things like that, and that would be flooded. She would go live, I think he would go live, there would be different people and things like that going live. Now, talking about the boys club in the industry, you saw how her relationship, her professional relationship with DaBaby deteriorated because he took the side of Tory Lanez. Again, you remember he brought him out on stage for the DaBaby brought Tory Lanez out on stage for the Rolling Loud because he was a scheduled performer. DaBaby was a scheduled performer for the Rolling Loud, and he brought out Tory Lanez, who was in this like big bobblehead type costume. And I mean, literally, Megan had concluded her set, The baby came on. He started talking all this crazy talking, everything like that. Because you remember, I think at that time he had gotten canceled because he had said something about the LGBTQIA community. Um, he also said some things about women and black women in particular, but it was the LGBTQIA comment, I think, that got him sent on out of here. Also, even before that, the baby and Meg had a song, I think, that was coming out. I think it was earlier in 2022, and they did a live, and he was acting kind of funny and standoffish about the live and stuff like that. He did a song or something like that, saying that he had sexual relations with her, and I think there was a couple of other people, or was it Tory Lanez? I can't remember what it was, but there was this. You could tell that there was a little boys club, in particularly between the baby and Tory Lanez at that time. They had gotten together. I know, watching the documentary, they even showed LeBron James coming out and saying something, and I think Chris Brown said something. It was, everybody, it did seem like a boys club, or it was that people were pushing their I don't want to say support behind Tory Lanez. All right, let's continue. Miss Pete stated, "Because I was shot, I've been turned into some kind." Okay, we've read that. Let's get down here. Defendant was present in the courtroom for the entirety of the trial, including Miss Pete's testimony. On December 23rd, 2022, after a 2-day deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous guilty verdict, finding Mr. Peterson guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of all 3 felony charges brought against him for the shooting of Miss Pete. On December 12th, 2023, Mr. Peterson filed a writ of habeas corpus challenging his conviction. On February 26, 2024, Mr. Peterson filed an open brief to appeal his conviction. And on October 23rd, 2024, Mr. Peterson filed another writ of habeas corpus challenging his conviction. The Attorney General of California has opposed Mr. Peterson's appeals and writs. B. Defendant, who is Milagros Cooper, is a malicious actor that operates social media accounts that spread false and harassing content. Defendant is an online social media personality. Defendant controls and operates X, formerly Twitter, accounts under the user's name at Mobs World, at Nigga Girl _, and at Milagro Grams. Instagram and TikTok accounts under the username at Milagros Grams, a YouTube account under the username at Mob Radio, and a Station Head account under the username at Milagros Grams, collectively the social media accounts. So she has several social media accounts. Defendant has the power to determine the subject matter and specific content that is published on her social media accounts, and to remove or refrain from publishing content she chooses. The defendant is the sole speaker, writer, and or editor of every post posted on her social media accounts. So they've got her. She don't, it's not like it's a social media account where there are several people who participate on that social media account. She is the lone proprietor. She speaks, she writes, and she's the editor of every post on all her social media accounts. Defendant has publicly admitted that she is not a journalist. Rather, it is apparent that she is, try as she might to conceal it from her followers, a hired gun for Mr. Peterson. C. Defendant Cooper conspired with Mr. Peterson and others to intentionally spread misinformation about Miss Pete. Defendant has conspired with Mr. Peterson and his father to execute a widespread campaign to maliciously injure Miss Pete's reputation and inflict severe emotional distress upon her in retaliation for her testimony regarding Mr. Peterson's unlawful act of gun violence against her. It is no secret that defendant has a close relationship with Mr. Peterson. Not only has she repeatedly demonstrated her support for Mr. Peterson on her social media accounts, she has publicly acknowledged her friendship with Mr. Peterson's father, Sunstar Peterson. In a February 27, 2020 Instagram post that has since been deleted, defendant shared a video of herself out with Sunstar Peterson. A true and correct copy of a screenshot of that post is attached below. So they hoocha. They got a complete screenshot. And see, they got here somebody talking about, oh, Tory looks just like his dad. And they over here teasing. And apparently this is a video, but they don't have the, you can't get a video post through a PDF, but apparently I don't know if they have the video, if they did a screenshot of that video or not. But that would be interesting to hear. While defendant's social media posts celebrating the Petersons portray merely an innocent and supportive relationship, defendant also has a financial incentive to act as a paid surrogate to spread defamatory statements about Ms. Pete while Mr. Peterson serves a 10-year prison sentence. In an October 29th, 2024 live stream, now that's just recent. That is not even a month. That's a little over a month ago. Posted to her social media accounts, defendant implied that she, quote, still is on Mr. Peterson's payroll. This is consistent with statements made by defendant's former best friend, King Noir, who exposed defendant for working alongside Mr. Peterson to smear Miss Pete's reputation. King Noir stated that defendant talks to Tory's daddy in an effort to leak information to the press that come from Mr. Peterson himself. Moreover, as Mr. Peterson prison's call logs demonstrate, Mr. Peterson has repeatedly discussed defendant with his father. In one phone call, the Petersons confidently asserted that Miss Pete would be unable to prove that Mr. Peterson paid defendant for attacking Miss Pete. On information and belief, defendant has coordinated with Mr. Peterson's criminal defense attorneys, the same attorneys who have now agreed to represent her in this civil lawsuit, to spread misinformation related to Mr. Peterson's trial, conviction, and appeal. As an early example of defendant's relationship with Mr. Peterson's prior criminal defense attorneys, defendant released confidential information to the public ahead of its disclosure in court in an attempt to manufacture a false narrative about Mr. Peterson and rally the public against Ms. Pete. For instance, in a February 23rd, 22 live stream posted to her X account, defendant admitted that she and blogger Livingston Allen got the same sources, the quote, got the same sources that Mr. Peterson's DNA was not present on the firearm. I remember that because I never could understand. They kept talking about DNA, but they never said anything about fingerprints. Now, I don't know if his fingerprints were found on the firearm or not, but they were saying that his DNA was not found on the firearm. And they were like, well, what would they be checking the DNA? It was a whole lot. I remember hearing something about this, but let's continue. In truth, at the pretrial hearing on February 23rd, 2022, held after defendant and Mr. Allen shared the misinformation regarding Mr. Peterson's DNA, no one stated that Mr. Peterson's DNA was not found on the firearm. In reality, the DNA results from the firearm were inconclusive, meaning that Mr. Peterson could not be excluded or included as one of the possible contributors of the mixed genetic material. So I guess they were saying that if they couldn't find, if they couldn't conclusively say his DNA was on there, that he didn't handle the gun, or he wasn't the one that shot the gun. All right. On information and belief, defendant also coordinated with the Petersons to employ online bot accounts to attack Miss Pete and her supporters with hateful, derogatory, and malicious statements on social media. Further, defendant has used her social media platform to incite violence against Miss Pete. On December 21st, 2022, defendant posted a live stream video to her Instagram account wherein she stated, quote, "A bitch fuck with my nigga. I'ma slap that hoe and whatever comes after it, end quote. Is it just me? But is that wording, quote, a bitch fuck with my nigga, I'ma slap that hoe, and whatever comes after it. That sounds to me, to me, it seems that sounds real personal. I don't know. As an advocate for somebody, I'm going to be slapping somebody. That sounds like somebody in a different type of relationship, being a paid instrument, or whatever the terminology that they used up for. That sounds a little bit more personal. If you get my drift, y'all let me know down in the comments. Does that sound a little personal to y'all? That sounds real personal. If it's somebody that's paying you money for something like that, this is wording that sounds real personable, versus someone paying you to be a mouthpiece to spread the information that they need for you to spread. But we'll continue. Defendant's statement is reasonably understood to refer to Miss Pete and her involvement in Mr. Peterson's trial. Sounds like a call to action to me, but they have classified the defendant's statement is reasonably understood to refer to Miss Pete and her involvement in Mr. Peterson's trial. All right, we're going to continue. Defendant knew and should have known that Miss Pete was susceptible to severe emotional distress regarding the false and disproven theories defendant shared on behalf of Mr. Peterson. Defendant was present for the trial and Miss Pete's testimony. During her testimony, Miss Pete lamented that she had been turned into some kind of villain and wishes he would have just shot and killed her. If I knew I would have to go through this torture, she also testified to suffering from suicidal thoughts since the shooting. By consciously coordinating with Miss Pete, convicted assaulter, to amplify Mr. Peterson's disproven and baseless theories to help him seek retribution against Miss Pete, defendant engaged in extreme, outrageous conduct that has caused and continues to cause Miss Pete some emotional distress. So now we get into this. Part D, defendant engaged in a years-long campaign of harassment against Miss Pete. Throughout Mr. Peterson's trial and continuing through today, defendant has engaged in a campaign of harassment on behalf of Mr. Peterson to spread false and harassing messages about Miss Pete on her social media accounts. This is too much. Defendant promoted the deep fake video, commencing no later than June 8th, 2024, defendant began promoting a deep fake video purporting to show an artificially created version of Miss Pete engaging in a sexually explicit act. The deep fake video to her over 100,000 social media account followers. It is unknown who created the deep fake video. Miss Pete has no knowledge of or involvement in the creation or distribution of the deep fake video, nor did she consent to or authorize the creation or the distribution of the deepfake video. In June 2023, defendant registered for an X account using the screen name @MobsWorld. In registering for an X account, defendant created a profile on X, including, among other things, a likes page on her X profile. Likes are features of X whereby a user can show their support for a post by clicking the like button, which is portrayed as a heart symbol under each individual X post. Likes are then recorded for each post and publicized as a statistic that is visible on each post, with more popular posts featuring a higher number of likes and less popular posts showing few to no likes. As with any X user, defendant's likes page on her X profile tracked and displayed the post that defendant liked, i.e. posts which defendant pressed the like icon from her X account. Defendant's likes page were featured as a tab on defendant's X profile and accessible to all third-party X users. On or about June 8th, 2024, defendant liked an X post that included the deepfake video. By liking this X post, the post was archived to and displayed on defendant's likes page, and the video in that post could be viewed from her likes page by visitors. So down here, because I was just about to say it, but I see it right here. X has since made likes inaccessible to the public such that only the owner of a profile can see his or her own likes. At the time of the defendant's post, however, likes were accessible for all other of her followers to see, a fact that the defendant knew. And I found that out. You remember when uh, uh Tina Knowles' husband, Richard Lawson, he was he was infamously found to be liking a lot of the porn on the it was reported that he was liking some of the porn on the thing, and then they got rid of that feature because a lot of people, because I didn't know that that happened too, a lot of people, I found out at that particular time that your likes were public, but they have since changed that. But I didn't realize that anything that you liked was made public, that anybody else can see what you have liked on the post. Interesting. Social media then got y'all caught up. Defendant knew or reasonably should have known that the deep fake video was an altered sexual depiction. Indeed, on that same day, defendant posted on her X account, with the way deep fake and AI be going these days, if it's not her, she should sue whoever made it. That SHT dry AF to do to people. The quote unquote her defendant referred to is reasonably understood to be Miss P. Nonetheless, on or about the same day, defendant further promoted that deepfake video by posting the following statement to her X account: "Go to my likes." Of course, defendant intended for this statement to encourage her followers and other members of the public to watch the deepfake video, which had been added to her likes page around the same time. When a user went to defendant's likes page, they could access the archived post by the defendant that displayed the deepfake, which could then be played by anyone visiting her likes page. And so they have a post of hers saying, "Go to my likes, 10:34 a.m., 6/8/2024," and it has 5.7 views. It has this thing has been reposted 10 times, been quoted 6 times, has 77 likes, and 4 people bookmarked it. As a screenshot As a screenshot below notes, the defendant has deleted the "Go to my likes" X post from her X profile. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Let's see, how far are we? All right, we're doing pretty good. I don't want to stay more than an hour and a half. Numerous subscribers, followers, viewers, and other third-party individuals followed the defendant's advice and accessed the deep-faked video via her X likes page. As one media outlet reported, the deep fake video gained popularity after defendant liked the deep fake post and encouraged her followers to view it. Emphasis added. On June 8th, 2024, the defendant published a live stream video on her Station Head account where she discussed her "Go to my likes" X post that promoted the deepfake video. In the Station Head post, the defendant stated, "If y'all want to be mad at something, this is what I'll give you. Be mad that I drew attention to it," referring to her conduct in promoting and directing her followers to the deepfake video. Lord, wow, you put all that information out, and all these things can be recorded or screenshotted, and you have this information out? A mess. The next day, on June 9th, 2024, the defendant published a video on her YouTube account to her more than 74,000 subscribers that addressed her "Go to my likes" X post related to the deepfake video. In the YouTube post, defendant shared an image of Miss Pete over a news, is that Chiron, that questioned whether Miss Pete is, quote, "a professional victim." A true and correct copy of that screenshot of the image is below. Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, and they have the look at there. They have where you can go to these little different things and see this. We're not gonna click those things. We're just gonna keep it moving. Defendant then shared a screenshot of the June 8th, 2024 X post that directed her followers to go to my likes referenced in paragraph 44. In her June 9th, 2024 YouTube post, the defendant affirmed that she had previously promoted the deepfake by stating that she told whoever follows me on social media to go to my likes to see what it is that we are discussing. By liking the deepfake video such that it then became archived and displayed on and viewable from the likes page of her ex profile, and then by directing and encouraging her over 100,000 social media followers across her various social media accounts to her ex like page, to which the deepfake the defendant promoted, transmitted, published, distributed, circulated, disseminated, presented, exhibited, posted, and shared an altered sexual depiction of Miss Pete online that was done without Miss Pete's consent. Defendant engaged in campaign of spreading malicious falsehood. The defendant wielded her influence on her social media account to engage in sustained campaign of repeatedly defaming Miss Pete with malicious, knowing, and injurious falsehoods, accusing her of everything from A, lying under oath, B, being an alcoholic, and C, being someone who is mentally incapacitated in need of a guardian. So they have here defendant spreading the falsehood that Miss Pete lied under oath. She not only spread the misinformation regarding Mr. Peterson's trial. Ms. Cooper has also used her social media accounts to falsely brand Miss Pete as a liar. The result of the defendant's conduct has caused Miss Pete severe emotional distress and mental anguish. At one point during the trial, Miss Pete had contemplated suicidal thoughts, so they're just repeating these things. The defendant has made repeated false statements that Ms. Pete lied during her testimony against Mr. Peterson. For example, on December 21st, 2022, a mere week after Ms. Pete testified at the trial and the day before jury deliberations began, defendant posted a live stream video to her Instagram account wherein she stated, "At the end of the day, a bitch lying on somebody is low down. Yes, she got hurt, and that's cool. But how did you get hurt? How? And what are the circumstances? And what after that?" So, bitch, if you think I'm finna be sitting up here boo-hooing for a bitch that played up in y'all's face, not mine. Because I've always said her ass was lying. Bitch, I don't know. You think I feel sorry for the bitch? I don't. The fuck? A bitch fuck with my nigga, I'ma slap that hoe, and whatever comes after it comes. Wait a minute. A bitch fuck with my nigga, I'ma slap that hoe, and whatever comes after it, comes after it. Defendant statements are reasonably understood to refer to Miss Pete because they refer to a woman who got hurt, i.e., Miss Pete, and asserts that this individual lied under oath during her testimony at trial and falsely accused another person of a felony. Defendant's statements further incited physical violence against Miss Pete by stating, "I'ma slap that hoe, and whatever comes after comes after it." I was waiting to see if that was going to be put in here because that was you remember we read that particular statement a few sections above, and I was like, that sounds personal. That sounds like you about to do something. And so they have addressed that here in this amended complaint. Additionally, on or around December 21st, 2022, defendant posted a statement to her ex account that accused Ms. Pete of being a non-credible witness who falsely accused Mr. Peterson of a felony. A true and correct copy of a screenshot of the X post is attached below. Let's read it. This is from her ex account. All this case taught anyone that your father, brother, cousin, or son could face over 20 years in prison without proper evidence, a botched investigation, and another likely suspect just because non credible witnesses said you did something. And y'all slow butts cheering. The above statement is reasonably understood to refer to Miss Pete as a non credible witness and to assert that she falsely accused Mr. Peterson of a felony and gave false testimony under oath. On December 23rd, 2022, Mr. Peterson was found guilty by a jury of his peers for shooting Miss Pete. Incredibly, despite defendant being fully aware that Mr. Peterson had been found guilty, she nonetheless knowingly persisted in pressing the false narrative that Miss Pete lied in claiming Mr. Peterson shot her. On June 22nd, 2023, ex-user account at Holiday K shared audio of defendant where she stated, "I believe that this is exactly how they feel about you, Megan. I believe that this is exactly how they feel about you. We know you a lying asshole, and you have absolutely ruined Tori's life." Defendant further endorsed that post by liking it from her own X account. Once again, defendant's statements is reasonably understood as asserting that Miss Pete lied under oath and falsely accused Mr. Peterson of shooting her and thus committing felony perjury. And let's see what else it goes on, because I wanted to see the following month on July 2023, she posted to her X account, quote, "He shot her because his ego was bruised. She's the biggest star. That's never been a fact and damn sure ain't one today. Tory Lanez is behind bars, presumed guilty, getting better numbers and charting." Defendant's X post included images of Mr. Peterson and Miss Pete's respective Spotify profiles, which listed each artist's amount of monthly listeners. Defendant's statement is reasonably understood as asserting that Miss Pete lied under oath about the fact that Mr. Peterson shot her, i.e., that has never been a fact. Quote, never been a fact, end quote, that Mr. Peterson shot Miss Pete and that Mr. Peterson is, quote, presumed guilty, end quote, as a result of Miss Pete's alleged false testimony and accusations. A true, correct copy of a screenshot of defendant's X is exhibited. So they just show their Spotify thing, and it says what she said. So let's continue. Then again, on August 7th, after posting with reference to an entirely unrelated lawsuit, a former videographer filed against Miss Pete in April 2024, and Miss Pete's motions to dismiss in that lawsuit, defendant falsely stated on her X account, was, quote, "Was Megan Thee Stallion caught trying to deceive the courts again?" End quote. Emphasis added. This statement is reasonably understood as asserting Miss Pete's previously deceived the court, which is a defamatory reference to her prior testimony in the trial, and thus Miss Pete lied under oath in her testimony at trial. Mm, mm, mm. They go on about the statements. It says, defendant impugns Miss Pete's mental capacity and falsely accused her of suffering from alcoholism. So let's read this. Defendant's malicious campaign of defamatory and harassing statements also encompass statements falsely accusing Miss Pete of being mentally incapacitated to such an extreme extent that she is allegedly in need of a guardian and is suffering from alcoholism. For example, on June 29th, 2024, y'all, this was this year, the first part of this year, defendant posted a statement to her X account wherein she stated, "Let me go find this receipt of Megan's ex bestie telling me she wasn't effing Ferris, that's her guardian." This statement is reasonably understood as asserting that Miss Pete is mentally incapacitated to such an extent that she requires a guardian to make decisions for her. Worse, this statement is reasonably understood as asserting Miss Pete is engaged in a sexual relationship with her purported guardian. A true and correct copy of the screenshot of defendant's X post is attached below. Let y'all read that real quick. Later that day, defendant posted a statement to her X account wherein she stated, quote, "Okay, so back in 2020, I'm doing what I do now. And a rumor was circulating that MTS, Miss Pete, was effing T. Ferris. I reported on it, and since old girl and her friend's family watched my show, one of her besties that I had an internet rapport with Hit Me. As you can see, she said it wasn't possible for MTS to be sleeping with T. Ferris because he was her guardian, quote, in parentheses, like a father figure. I thought the verbiage was odd, but at the time I went on, I realized MTS was slow and needed one. So it made all the sense then. This statement, Lord, this statement is reasonably understood as asserting that Miss Pete is mentally incapacitated to such an extent that a guardian needs to be appointed to make decisions for her. Moreover, the quote receipt, end quote, defendant referred to as proof of Miss P was engaged in a sexual relationship with her purported guardian disclaimed any existence of such relationship. Defendant made no effort to clarify or retract her earlier accusation in spite of her lack of evidence or basis in fact. Then again, on July 30th, 2024, that's about 6 months ago, 5 to 6 months ago, defendant posted a live stream to her ex account wherein she stated, "What is Megan's mental status? Does she have a guardian or not? Has she been listed as a capable person? Has she ever been deemed like legally retarded? Ooh, child. Like anything of the nature, anything of the sort?" Emphasis added. Again, this statement is reasonably understood as asserting that Miss Pete is mentally incapacitated to such an extent that a guardian needs to be appointed to make decisions. Now, to me, that has gotten to be a little mean spirited. That's what it sounds. That sounds a little mean spirited to me. What y'all think? All right, we are winding down because again, I'm not going to read the whole totality of it. So 68, 69 talks about her being mentally incompetent. Also, 69 talks about her being an alcoholic. They have cited some spots where the defendant posted a live stream where she addressed the allegations of being a drunkie. She also, in 70, it says here, the defendant, Milagro Cooper, implied that Miss Pete was an alcoholic and saying that it looks like it was she comes from a family of addicts. She did a live stream on her Twitch where she mentioned, quote, "When you have drinking seemingly runs through your family, yes, I did post certain questions to my page. Yes, I did," end quote. So even as recently as October 30th, 2024, she talks about Miss Pete coming from a family of alcoholics, and continues, says, although Miss Pete has never denied she consumes alcohol, Miss Pete is not and has never been an alcoholic, has never been diagnosed as an alcoholic or having any alcohol use disorders, and she does not suffer from addiction. Defendant has no basis in fact to publish her defamatory statements to over her 100,000 collective social media followers. It says here the defendant's defamatory statements were made with actual malice. And let's see what they have to show that that they're putting that was made with actual malice. Indeed, after a jury found Mr. Peterson guilty, this is Daystar Peterson, aka Miss Tory Lanez, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of shooting Miss Pete on December 23rd, 2022. Defendant, who was fully aware of the guilty verdict, continued to falsely accuse Miss Pete of having lied under oath about Mr. Peterson's whether Mr. Peterson shot her. Defendant did so knowing that Mr. Peterson's guilt had been established in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt. Accordingly, defendant knew that her statements regarding Miss Pete were false, or at the least recklessly disregarded whether they were true. Defendant's malice in defaming Miss Pete is also evident from the fact that she has admitted spreading misinformation and falsehoods about Mr. Peterson's criminal act of gun violence against Miss Pete. Defendant's falsehoods of and concerning Miss Pete, as well as her misinformation campaign about the trial, generally reflect defendant's deep-seated ill will towards Miss Pete and her intent on pressing a preconceived and false narrative at the behest of Mr. Peterson. Among other things, defendant has repeatedly promoted at least 3 false and debunked theories. Number 1, that there was no firearm recovered at the crime scene related to the trial. and that the Los Angeles Police Department has misplaced it. Number two, Mr. Peterson was not the person who shot Miss Pete. And number three, Miss Pete did not suffer a bullet wound as a result of Mr. Peterson's criminal assault, but rather suffered injuries as a result of stepping on broken glass. So they have talked about different instances on her social media accounts where she talked about the gun and bullet fragments. She also posted on her YouTube account, how do you hold someone in prison when you don't have a damn weapon or what was supposedly coming up out of Miss Pete's foot? So she's got a lot of instances of that. Let's continue. Yeah, she's got a lot of instances that they are put in here. Like I said, again, I wasn't going to read anything. If something comes up different, they're talking about bullet fragments. Let me go back because I saw something. It was not until after the suit was filed that on November 19th, 2024, defendant for the first time admitted the falsities of these statements and shared the truth with her followers. So that was this year. I know that she tried to get the case let me look. We'll look that up later. But I know that she tried to get the case thrown out, dismissed, Miss Cooper, but the court said no. Yeah. So when was this? It was filed on the 11th. It's from Megan Pete, plaintiff versus Milagro Elizabeth Cooper. Its order says this cause came before the court on defendant Milagro Elizabeth Cooper's motion to dismiss complaint filed on November 26, 2024. On December 10th, 2024, plaintiff filed a first amended complaint. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudicated that defendant Milagro Elizabeth Cooper's motion to dismiss complaint is denied as moot. Done and ordered in Miami, Florida, this 11th day of December 2024 by Cecilia M. Is this Altanaga, Chief United States District Judge. So there is, I don't know if it'll show up on, I don't know if it'll show up. Hold on, y'all. I don't know if it'll show up, but I don't think it'll show up. It's not going to show up, but there is a I have it on my phone. There is a order on that, and that was just done yesterday. So we're going to be going to court with this. I wanted to go through here to make sure that there's nothing else different, and I will scroll so you all can see it as well. And they talk about the lasting impact of the defamatory statements, and I will make the assumption that they're going through talking about how that has caused Miss Pete some harm. So the cause of actions that we have, count one, defamation per se. And they go through and list all the things that they feel were defamatory. Ooh, they got a lot. She is going to have to counteract all of this stuff. Count two, promotion of an altered sexual depiction. And that comes from the deep fake. Count three, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Count four, cyber stalking, injunctive relief. What was that? That's count four. So those were the four counts that she is suing Milagro for. Y'all, too much. What are y'all thinking about this? I just went over and read I probably read 30 pages of a 40-page document talking about the lawsuit, the amended lawsuit for Meg the Stallion against Milagro Cooper. who is a blogger, a social media contributor. What do you all think? I am perplexed. Let me tell you why I'm perplexed. Because with what we have seen, how Cardi B successfully sued and won against Tasha K, I thought it was explicit at this point that when you report about these things as a YouTuber, as a content creator, you need to be very careful about what you say, how you say it, when you say it, and to whom that you're saying it for. Gone are the days, because of the fact that content, us as being content creators, we wield an audience, big, small, or indifferent. Because I know that there are people who don't subscribe to me, but they follow me, they review my content. But all of that to say is, you have to have a level of responsibility to your audience, to give them the information as truthful as possible. She's not a satirical type site, a comedic type site, or anything like that. She's pushing information to people, and what they're saying in this lawsuit, disseminating it to her public, knowing that it's false, but her public and her audience is thinking that it's true. And a mess. I'm not a person here who's like always on the sides of celebrities, or thinking that celebrities are beyond reproach, because we definitely see all the stuff that's going on with celebrities this year. As Cat Williams has put out there, this was going to be a year of revealing, and definitely a lot of things have been revealed, and particularly a lot of celebrities have had a lot of legal issues that are going on. But I'm saying all that to say is, even with all of that, even with the stuff that's going on with the celebrities and things like that, even with celebrities being accused of crimes, they're innocent until proven guilty. And even though we hear rumors and innuendos, and there are things that people have said about people for years and years to come, until they have been convicted in a court of law, you can't espouse those things to be the truth. You can only say that, it seems to me, it's alleged, this is what someone else said, or something like that. You got to put some kind of balance in it, because that's when you see, when I do these things, if I'm doing an article, I'm very quick to try to find who wrote that article, and let you all know who wrote that article that I'm reading from or talking about, or anything like that. But this is going to be the second defamation case. I didn't follow the Tasha K defamation case. I didn't follow it too much, because I didn't follow Tasha K like that. If she came up on my feed and if it was something interesting, I would watch her stuff. I didn't follow her like that. I didn't follow Cardi B like that, so it just didn't interest me. But this interests me. This is going to interest me, because I do like some of Meg's music, a couple of her songs. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. Will it play out like the one that Tasha K played out? Because they have, like I said, I didn't follow the Tasha K one, so I don't know what evidence they had on there. If they went point by point by point, pulling out screenshots and stuff, and lives and videos and things like that you've done. Haven't figured or seen anything like that yet, but this is quite interesting. And one of the things that I'm going to leave with is, you remember the statement that was made about she was going to slap her, or something like that, or something like that. This gives me, and like I said, it's alleged, but it's just the impression that I got when I read that. The impression that I got is that there's some type of relationship going on. And I'm wondering, is this that's the impression that I got. It just seems, because I don't see anybody doing all of this for a paycheck. And particularly when you're not even because you're not a journalist, as you said, as it was stated in that amended lawsuit. But even as a publicist, I don't see, is nothing is showing me good publicist work. I don't know. But this is all interesting to me. we're going to continue to follow it as it comes through. I just wanted to go because I never did read the initial lawsuit, so I wanted to get the amended one out and on my channel to show that I read it. I've got another thing about Jay-Z to come out. I may hold off on that because I think I need a little bit more information. I'm trying to pull up some more information on it. And this is regarding stuff going on in New Jersey with the guy who says that Jay-Z is possibly his father and he wants him to sit down for a DNA test. There's some more information that I want to get. So I may hold off on that particular part till next week. But I do have it scheduled for tomorrow. But just know that I may hold off on that because I still want to get a couple of pieces of information and read over it and get a kind of understanding. But what do you all think about what's going on with Meg the Stallion? What do you think about this lawsuit? Did y'all know that she had moved to Florida? And isn't Florida where Daystar Peterson's folks live? Because I know he's from Canada, but I think his father or somebody lives in Florida. Somebody lives in Florida because remember I remember they were doing some kind of, it wasn't a documentary, but somebody made mention that when he left Canada, he went down to Florida, where his father. So doesn't his father still lives in Florida? I'm not sure because this is going to be in U.S. District Court, so I don't think it's going to be televised. I don't think, but I know that Florida state courts televise their hearings. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting who's going to show up to give us information about this case, or if anybody is going to be there to give us information about this case. But anyway, y'all, we do this every week. Please hit that like button. It helps with my engagement. I really do appreciate you all for watching my video. If you like what you see, subscribe. Again, once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed, my pop culture chats, and my celebrity legal news. All right. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that helper that you cannot stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.